Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin.
And I'm your co-host, Dean.
Dean's
What's
still a little
up?
slow on that. It's all good. You're getting there, man. You're getting there.
We'll get there.
Um,
We'll get there.
we have a very special episode today. We have Newman from Movies for Days, and we're going to be reviewing Color Out of Space. And this is definitely, as we were saying before we started recording this, is it's very batshit. It's one of those movies that you want to really talk about everything that goes on, but if you were to do that, you'd go insane yourself. So I think we're just gonna kind of pick apart certain scenes that kind of calls to all of us, in some sort of way or another, and kind of go from there. But before we get started and everything, Newman, if you want to tell our listeners where they can find you and what you're up to, man, you have the floor right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks a lot for having me on, by the way. Yeah, I'm Newman. My show is Movies for Days. It is a deep dive movie podcast. Every week we go into a new movie to just kind of celebrate it, dig it apart. And on my show, it's all about variety is the spice of life. So we do everything from Schindler's List to Shrek.
Oh wow,
And we
yeah.
got been going strong.
Nice.
Yeah, going strong for about 3 years now. I'm a big horror freak, so a lot of my episodes are on horror movies, but there's a very wide variety to draw from because it's really all about having a guest on the show and having them gush about whatever movie they want to talk about. My only stipulation is that the guest is genuinely excited to talk about the show, about the flick.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I have been
And yeah, you
listening
can.
to your show as well.
Oh, wicked, man! Thanks. Any standout episodes that tickled your pickle?
There's so many of them. It's hard for me to like really pinpoint because I think every show that you put out it's pretty high quality and like the conversations that you have going on. So I can't really pinpoint ones that really like stand out the most because I feel like they're all just so unique and so insightful in a lot of things that you and your guests talk about. So no, I can't I can't really put a finger on like the ones that I was like, yeah, that one's great because they're all just great, man.
I'm gonna
Oh,
have to go in and check it out, Newman, man. Yeah, because I haven't listened to any of the shows yet. I'm kind of new to this whole kind of podcasting arena. So yeah, man, I'm kind of meeting people along the way and making a checklist of all the shows I need to go and check out. So yours is definitely going on that, man.
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, I kind of fly all over the place. I got a lot of sub series on there for folks who are interested. Classic Corner with Mom, where I dive into a classic movie with my actual mom. We got Tarantino Jamborino. That's self-explanatory.
I love
We've
that.
got
That's
I
awesome.
Am Batman. Every episode, we look at a different Batman movie and kind of pick it apart. And of course, as fits very well for today's flick, we also have the ever popular Rage for Cage, where
Oh
me and
yes.
my co-host, I've got me and my co-host Joe Galizia, we take two Nicolas Cage movies and we kind of put them head to head in what we call the cage match,
Yes,
and we
that's
just kind of
amazing.
Oh,
dissect
that's
them, pick them
brilliant.
apart. So yeah, you can check out all that good stuff. Movies for days. Four is a number, days is a Z. I'm on Spotify, I'm on Audible, I'm on Anchor, just like you folks. And yeah, I'm just rocking and rolling and trying to meet new people, have some fun, talk about some good flicks.
That's so cool. I love the fact that you do that one with your mum as well. I'd love to do something like that because I remember the last time I sat with mum I don't think my mum would do it because the last time I sat her down to watch a film, it was The People Under the Stairs. And she looked at me and she
Oh,
was like, what the fuck
I
is
love
this?
that movie.
And my stepdad was there and they literally, because
But
I'd taken a bunch of movies over for the night. I was like, right, movie night, and they're kind of thinking I'm going to pull something really kind of, they didn't think I was going to pull People Under the Stairs out the bag, and I'm convincing them this is a great movie. You're going to love this movie, and they both looked at me like I was crazy. Like, what is this shit? I'm like, this is not shit. This is art.
a
This is-
regular feature on that show has become where there's a clear visual metaphor for sex happening on screen, but it's the 50s, it's the 40s. They can't just say sex. They have to show like a train going into a tunnel, right?
Yeah.
After two people have kissed. And
yeah.
it's become a regular thing where I'm like, Mom, that is sex. Sex is happening. You have to admit it. She's kind of like nodding, going, yeah, well, that's how they did it back then. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So no, it's always a good time.
Oh yeah, and I'm super excited for this, and thank you so much for being here, Newman, and wanting to come on and do this. And Dean, also for having you on as the new co-host and whatnot, and really starting to spin those wheels and whatnot.
We're
It's
just
awesome.
getting rolling, man. We're just getting started.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm feeling it out. I'm getting there. It's
One
all
second,
good.
guys. 1 second. No, I didn't.
No sweat.
It didn't tell me where it was. Oh no, I didn't get anything. I already got food. Sorry, my fiance is asking me if I ordered food for myself. I already ordered food, so. All right, back to the show. Sorry, guys. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about Color Out of Space. So, Dean, you want to do the honors of pulling up IMDb and let us know who the hell starred in this movie.
Oh, you got it, man. Let's have a look right here. So, IMDb. Do you want to know the rating just yet, or do you want to know the cast?
We'll do the cast first, and then we'll do
All
the
right.
ratings.
So, let me have a little look. Right. We have at the top spot the one and only Rage for Cage, Nicolas Cage, man.
Yes.
Popping up in so many of these kind of movies recently, and you just know that it's going to be so much fucking fun when you see Nicolas Cage cast as in his horror movies as the crazy lead. Nicolas Cage as Nathan. We have the lovely Jolie Richardson as Teresa, as the mother. Madeline Arthur as Lavinia Gardner plays the.
I love her name, by the way, Lavinia. Like, I've never heard of that name until this movie. I don't know. Was that her name in the book? I don't remember.
In the book, there is not a daughter. In the book, there are 3 sons.
That's right.
The name Lavinia is actually kind of significant for a couple reasons, but I can keep that in my little nerd bank for after we get past this section, if you like.
Hell yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just love that name because it's so different.
It's a beautiful name, isn't it? It's almost like lavender. It's like a flower. I imagine she smells amazing.
Oh, Dean.
There's a lot of lavender and lilac to the color scheme throughout this movie,
sure.
so it's a very la 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 la.
And her surname's Gardner, so
yes, exactly.
So yeah, Lavender Gardner. Sorry, Lavinia Gardner plays Madeline Arthur, who is the daughter with some severe daddy issues.
Yep.
We have Ward Phillips, who plays. I'm not quite sure what you call his job. I just called him the water boy.
Yeah, kind of. That's what I called him too. He's just the water man.
He's the
hydrologist, right?
That's the word I was looking for.
The hydrologist.
I think just calling him water guy is way better, though.
He's the water guy, but not to be confused with the Adam Sandler movies. Not
the water boy, water dude.
Ooh, I like that because he's got a certain sort of suaveness and sureness to him, so he is more of a water dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Or maybe a water nerd if he's
Yeah, that's also water nerd dude. Yeah,
water nerd dude.
What's your job? I'm a water nerd. So he plays Elliot Knight, the water nerd. And then, oh my god, it's so good to see fucking Tommy Chong in a movie.
Yes.
I love Tommy Chong. I love Cheech and Chong so much, man. I love Tommy Chong. Playing Ezra. Playing the brother, Benny Gardner. We have an actor called Brendan Meyer. Jack Gardner, played by Julian Hideout. I don't really know what any of these other guys have been in.
No, you don't have to. Only the main cast is all you really got to worry
about.
All
right, cool. Well, then I'll just read it. This last one, who Sheriff Pierce, played by Josh C. Waller. That was his first ever acting role, and he's actually part of the producers. He's one of the producers of the movie.
Oh, nice. Is there a budget?
He looked good. He did a good job.
That's his first ever role that he's ever done as well. So yeah, man. But Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. What was the budget for this film? Is it on IMDb? Sometimes it is. I think I remember listening to an interview with Richard, and I think it was a pretty high budget, if I remember. That's why he made it, because they gave him a high enough budget to do what he wanted.
I'm having a little look. All right. So yeah, $6 million.
Okay.
Right,
yeah.
It's estimated at $6 million.
Okay. That's not too shabby. For all the visuals and whatnot that are in this film, because I mean it's a cosmic horror film. You need a lot of CGI. And
Yeah.
this movie definitely has it, but I feel like it's so well blended in with everything, practical, that what they could do, that it definitely it shines. And obviously the color, the color is definitely
Color.
definitely
Nicholas
helping.
Cage's fee's got to be 3 million alone.
Yeah, no, right?
He's-
Oh my
Fucking
God.
dude, he's worth it. He's worth it. Every
He really
cent.
is.
He is.
I mean, I'm looking at the the gross US and Canada. So I'm guessing this is what they took in the box office in the opening weekend. It
Yeah.
didn't even hit anywhere near the budget, man. So I think that would be considered a major flop by the studio. But
Another reason why that happened, though, because I remember this movie only being in limited theaters. I think this was what, 2019, I think? Was this
It was,
before
yeah.
COVID or was it during COVID? I can't remember.
It was before.
Yeah, so it
was
was like
most
right
definitely before.
before. But I was
Mhm.
trying to find theaters local to me to go see it in the theaters, and I had to drive like an hour and a half away. So they were
Yeah.
only selecting certain theaters. I think it was because it was going straight to Shudder, so they were doing a limited release to wherever they wanted to select theaters. I think that's probably why that's very, very low. But with it being on Shudder, I'm sure they must have made a lot more money, especially since it's still being played on there, and there was a physical release as well. I think multiple physical releases of this film. So
This
I've
is
got-
one of those movies where like the release was so limited that to really do a proper appraisal of what kind of money it made, you have to look at VOD, you have to look at
Yeah,
physical media
exactly.
sold, and so it's like it takes more time to see the return, which is a bitch because I don't know if y'all knew this. This was supposed to kick off a trilogy.
yes,
Yes,
I knew that.
the-
Yeah.
the return was so lousy that it just never happened. I would have watched 2 more of these in a heartbeat.
Yeah, same. And I also know that I think another reason why it got halted is because of all the allegations that were coming out for Richard Stanley as well.
Oh yeah.
With
Oh
Fangoria.
shit.
Yeah, so I think Fangoria was working. I think it was Fangoria, and then they decided, they found out there was a lot of really bad allegations, and it was also with Spectre. Oh my God, his name, Spectre, Vision, shit, Frodo. Shit, what's his name?
Elijah Wood.
I knew it began with an E. But yeah, his company was getting a lot of complaints about Richard Stanley having some sort of allegations out with him, so they kind of had to nick anything they were going to do with him.
Oh no. Okay,
yeah.
that's totally news to me. I'm
Oh, you
very
didn't
bad
know
at that. No, I had no idea. Like I found out so late in the game about the director of Jeepers Creepers. I'm
Oh, yeah.
really bad at knowing that aspect of the world or the business. And it's just in recent years it's becoming like, oh God, them too?
Yeah. And
It's
it's
probably
kind of
a good thing.
Go ahead,
Ignorance is bliss sometimes, isn't it? Because you just think you don't kind of want to know that shit. You just want to appreciate the
It makes
movie.
it easier to just like the movie, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
I mean, you got to look at the whole picture, I guess.
And it
Yeah.
sucks too because it was a long time between Richard doing this movie and anything else that he did. I think the last thing he did was like in the early to mid 2000s. I forget what the hell it was. But he was like in hiding for a long time. Well, not really hiding, but he was just like living his life in like weird parts of the world and like living in caves and stuff. You can get a really big deep dive with him if you listen to Postmortem with Mick Garris. He did a whole interview with Richard as this movie was being released, Color Out of Space. And you can kind of like learn a lot about his background that was in that. So it's really heartbreaking to know that he came back, did this major hit that we all thought was a hit, but the numbers are saying something completely different. But forget about that. But everybody's like, yeah, dude, we're actually getting like proper Lovecraftian stuff, and we're really like going out there. We're it's like Reanimator and stuff like all over again. And then like a year later, they're like, yeah, so we cut ties with Richard Stanley because there was some sexual allegation stuff with him. So
man, I read that letter. I think it was a woman that wrote a letter explaining about what he'd done, and I kind of read it. I got through it. I was halfway through it, and I was like, I don't think I want to read anymore. This is harsh.
Yeah, it was some really weird shit. But anyway, we're here to talk about the movie.
Absolutely, man.
Hey,
And just quickly, it was Dust Devil, 1992. Dust Devil. That was the one.
Oh yes. Oh, so it was like a Long time ago
Oh,
then.
wow, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it was
went
hard.
away
He
for a
did.
while.
It was Hardware. He did Hardware, then he did Dust Devil '92, and then I think he started to direct in '96, The Island of Dr. Moreau, and
That's
then
the
he
one. That's the yeah.
then he
Okay,
just
that's
kind
the
of
one.
got booted
That
off.
movie, man. Yeah, the making of that movie. That's a whole shit show. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure there's like a documentary available on YouTube that you can just
there
watch
is.
all
Yeah,
about the making of that one. Like
there
feature
is.
length.
It was on Shudder as well, I think. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Was it? Oh, snap. All right.
I think it was. Yeah.
But anyway, I guess moving forward, Dean, if you want to go over to Rotten Tomatoes, we can ask Newman what he thinks the scores are.
Oh, okay.
Righty. So let's have a little look here. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me.
No worries. No worries.
All right. So are you okay? So you're gonna have a guess at the percentage, the Rotten Tomatoes
All right.
percentage.
Yes. As long as have you seen the percentages before?
Yeah, I've played around with the tomatoes. I mean, acknowledging full well that it's fucking an aggregate and therefore it's this pinch of salt sort of a thing. But let us play.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. First off, we'll say the critics meter. I'm gonna guess at I'm gonna guess 59.
Oh, okay.
And then the audience meter, I'm gonna guess 60. No, I'm gonna guess 69.
Wow. Okay, that's closer. So the tomato meter was actually sitting at a really impressive 86.
Oh, nice.
Hello.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
good.
and the audience score was actually under the tomato meter, which come in, but not by much, 82%.
Oh, okay. So it's
I really lowballed it. I should have voted with my heart.
yeah. So this is definitely like above average film. It's not like top tier, but it's above average, almost there. It's not certified, is it? Or is it?
It is certified fresh, I believe.
It is? Okay. Because there's certified
Believe
fresh
so, yeah.
meter, like for it to be certified fresh, it's so weird because I've seen movies that were like 56% certified fresh.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. Like
Yeah.
at all. So I always get really confused as to like how they rate something that's certified fresh.
Yeah.
Do we have any awful
I've actually
reviews?
Oh, sorry. I've actually just got the box office gross here as well.
Oh,
If you
okay. What is it?
consider the 6 million cost of making it, the box office gross was 677,000.
Ooh.
Not even a million back.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Wow.
I remember this not even breaking a million. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
I'm sure it definitely made its not all of its money back, but it got pretty close with all like the releases that it had physically, and obviously with it being on Shudder. I don't know how much they paid Shudder or how much Shudder paid them for it, but
man,
I'm
I've
sure.
got the most beautiful Blu-ray box set of this movie, man.
I see that's another thing. Box sets, those don't cost like a little bit of money. That's some pricey shit right there. So they definitely made money back
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah, for sure. It was pretty expensive. But I remember when it came out, and when I got it, I was just like, oh my god, it was like holding just just with the booklets and all the extras that came with it, and just the packaging and the whole. I love the colors, like of the sleeve and the design. I just love the whole thing, the whole package, movie included.
Yeah, nice.
There got to be some solid like featurettes and whatnot that come with that. They got a commentary on there too.
Yeah, there is. I haven't watched it yet though. I haven't actually.
I think the commentary was also on a Blu-ray that I have, so I think it was on multiple things. But I don't know if there was any behind the scenes. You might have behind the scenes stuff on your box set though, Dean.
I can grab it and let you know if you want, but I mean.
Yeah, I mean if you want to, go right ahead, man. It's up to you.
I got it right here.
Dean's got everything. He has so many box sets, it's ridiculous.
Well, and that's the thing with movies like this, and we're seeing more of a return of these kinds of flicks where you really can't say, okay, what did it make in theaters? Okay, that's a solid appraisal because it was never going to have a big enough run to really make its money back.
Oh, that's a really nice one. That's super shiny.
Yeah, it's really nice, man. It's got the cover's stunning. It comes with like I think this is a poster, and it comes with
I'm a sucker for posters. I'm sorry.
A really cool booklet with lots of kind of just stories about the movie and Lovecraft and all that kind of good stuff. The features. Oh man, I can't see. I can't really see.
Oh, don't worry
It's
about
not-
it.
They're not jumping out at me, but they're
Yeah,
they will
don't
be
worry
some
about
features,
that.
I'm sure.
Did you spot
Yeah.
any reviews or anything on Rotten Tomatoes that you want to point out, Dean?
Uh,
Sometimes there's some really wacky ones. You're just like, why the fuck did you even put that?
Stylized weirdness can only take you so far, though.
Okay, that's probably a negative one, right?
That's a negative one. Let's
Yeah.
go for a good one. A trippy and grotesque vision of the real and unreal colliding in the New England wilderness.
I
Energized
love
by,
that.
that's cool, right? Energized by energized by memorably out there effects and its reliably ragey leading man.
This was set in Massachusetts, if I remember correct. I think so because I live in Mass, so it's very close to home.
I think he says when the water boy rocks up, I'm pretty sure he says to him, he goes, Massachusetts? Or like
Yeah.
he's trying to figure out where he's from. And he's like, Boston or something like
Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like, no, New
And
Haven.
yeah, and he responds.
New Haven.
He
or
responds
something.
Providence, which.
Oh, Providence. That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's actually a really specific choice because the character's name is Ward Phillips, right? And he's doing a lot of our narration and voiceover.
Yeah.
That's the HP in HP Lovecraft stands for Howard Phillips.
Yeah.
And he was from Providence, lived in Providence his whole life, died, buried in Providence. And so that's kind of a specific thing, the idea of like, okay, this is kind of our narrator, our writer kind of a guy.
Like a
Yeah.
nod towards Lovecraft. That's very cool.
Oh, nice. Well,
You could tell that this film is going to be batshit right off the bat, knowing
Oh,
it's
for
from
sure.
Spectre, because it's from the same team that brought us Mandy as well. I mean, that was crazy. But again, just the colors in that film, man,
yeah.
incredible, crazy,
Beautiful.
crazy ass movie. But yeah,
And that's definitely one thing that I've been talking about a lot on the show, with movies or other directors, or whatever. But Dean, I praise this movie like to like forever. I will love this movie. Revealer that just came out on Shudder. I fucking love that movie so much, and it has a lot of the colors that are in this one. And then there's a lot more films coming out with the purples and the blues. I'm trying to mimic it here.
I love that, man.
But like, I don't know what it is. I've always loved the combination of blue and purples growing up. And I think that's another reason why I love this film so much is because it has that, and it has that aesthetic. Color in film right now it's going way above and beyond what it's ever been. Because the digital age, that's what we're in right now. We're in a digital age film wise. You got like all of the special effects that are going on. We got like recolorization of films, digital film, everything. So it's still in like its very early stages, but you can see with films like Color Out of Space or Revealer that we're starting to really hone in on how to manipulate these things in a good way and not making it look like cheap CGI filled sci-fi movies, like though it's like really crappy like CGI and you can tell it's awful. We're starting to really get to that stage of being able to master CGI, and that's actually a really good thing. I mean, as us horror fans, not huge fans of CGI, but if it's mixed and used well, it's definitely a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For me, it's always been when it can be utilized as a tool in the toolbox.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be the only crutch you rely on for every little thing. You pepper it in along with the good practical stuff and the good makeup and lighting combinations. I mean, the use of lighting throughout this, as well as the color, the color timing. It's just, I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's like a color I never saw before. It hits, it really does hit you in such a way. And I think it has to do with combining all the tools in the box, CG included, but not only.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think not even the color itself. I think just the whole cinematography. Like even for example, when they're quite at the beginning, where actually at the beginning in the forest, the colors coming through the trees and just the whole cinematography is really lush. And then when they're kind of standing on the veranda near the beginning, and they're kind of just looking out, saying, we're living the dream, and all the colors popping through the trees. It's very kind of nature colors, but it's just so lush. It kind of gives you that, we're living the dream, and I just it's very, very well shot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And lit,
So
very
many
well
shots
lit.
early on too, where we see how high those trees are.
Yeah.
I'm not film school literate enough to know how they're doing this, but it's like compressed a little bit, and it makes the trees look even taller. It makes us, the viewer, feel even smaller.
Yeah.
In this isolated, farmhouse that we're on.
Yeah.
They realize that so well on film and just put us there so perfectly emotionally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think before we start jumping into two more of this film, what's officially announced that we are now talking about The Color Out of Space. Newman, since you are our guest, I'll let you start off. If there's a scene or anything that you want to talk about in particular, you have the floor right now. And enlighten us with your knowledge.
Color Out of Space. Hoo-ha. Cosmic body horror perfection. Nicolas Cage and Jolie Richardson going toe-to-toe in this. Big horror fans are going to remember her from Event Horizon, where she was super excellent and British as she actually is. Also in The Patriot with Mel Gibson doing not such a great American accent, but in this, American accent on point, sister. I'm believing it. This movie, for me, mixes vibes of The Thing and Annihilation and The Tommyknockers, which is a Stephen King book that is really similar to this, actually. That's not a dig at all. It's just, hey, you get the vibes and love the influences. But it's got that gonzo body horror madness that we've come to expect from a proper H.P. Lovecraft inspired story. Reanimator is one of my absolute favorite movies ever.
Same.
And I feel like this flick is oh fuck yeah, right? I feel like this flick is so on about the fear of age and decay, because that's a kind of transformation that everyone must do and nobody wants. And so we're all afraid of turning into our parents. We're all afraid of getting cancer and wasting away. And then we don't feel like the person that we believe we are. I'm an atheist. And so similar to Cronenberg, I see the body as sort of the realest real we will ever know, and the truest true, if you will. And so when that starts to betray you and that starts to fuck you over, what do you do? And it's a horrific experience. And I think that's why I jive with body horror so much. So what I love are these scenes where Nick Cage and Jolie Richardson are turning into these toxic versions of their parents, but they don't even realize it. And it's because the color has come in from outer space and invaded them. So the scene where Nick Cage has the tomatoes they're all grown all weird and giant and bulbous because, again, the color has infected everything. And he's thinking, oh, yeah, these tomatoes are going to be great. But every bite he takes, it tastes like shit, right?
It's so funny.
And he starts freaking out. Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. And it's totally funny. And he's doing the thing where his voice gets all nasal. It's like, get the fuck out of my face in the video. And it's like his dad's voice, right? And screaming. But this is the one time where we see Jolie Richardson also do a freaky voice when she's screaming at him about the satellite dish. And she drops into this freaky guttural witch-like place. And to me, that's clearly her becoming the toxic version of her mom that she doesn't want to be. And as soon as she walks out after screaming at him, he's just like, yeah, babe, I think that's a great idea. Okay.
Yeah, he just changes his mood and his vibe like immediately. It's so funny.
he's crazy. He's like drinking all the time and he's like yelling at vegetables. He's just fucking nuts from the get-go, man. Nick Cage. I think there's, and the meaty is just kind of pushed him a little too far, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Finally gave him permission to just let the tiger out of that cage, man.
What about you, Dean? Is there anything that really sticks out to you that you want to pinpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I can't deep dive quite as well as you guys can, but I think the scenes that really kind of stuck out in my head was the one quite near the beginning where Jolie Richardson's in the kitchen and she's kind of chopping away at the vegetables.
Oh yeah.
And that stayed with me. Like when I was even like, you know, half an hour down the line in the film, I was still thinking about that scene, thinking and then the way she just looks so vacant, and she just carries on chopping and then takes a couple of her fingers off. And yeah, so that scene was fucking heavy. I really enjoyed that one. And then just a couple of I don't know, the scene with where the mum and the son are kind of molded together. You mentioned a thing earlier
yeah,
on.
That's like the most iconic scene, I think.
That really kind of reminded me of the effects of movies like The Thing.
What a giant like meat pile of all of the alpacas in the farm too. Like, oh my god,
insane, right? Just completely bonkers, and they're so isolated that, and I like the way their phones just become fucking pointless.
Yeah.
So there's no way to get in touch with anybody, and everything gets so nuts so fast.
It's like the whole movie is just like you like taking edibles.
That's a good way to put it, man. That's a really good way to put it. Oh my god!
It's taken me so many watches to really try, and even like I said to you, Dustin, before we recorded this, I need to watch this again to really have some valid stuff to say. But even then, I was just like, man, what's going on? But I love it though. I love it.
It's such a hard film to talk about. That's why like going through it scene by scene would just be ridiculous. It wouldn't make any sense. It would make the movie make less sense than it already does. Because as the viewer, you are trying to figure out, okay, this family's going through some shit right now. How am I supposed to relate to these people who are going through such a weird transformation and dealing with this color, and then you see them morph themselves into people who they aren't, but they are at the same time. But the whole thing about not wanting to be your parents or growing old, that's definitely a huge factor in this film. And like you can see that with the kids, as well, as they're also being changed in personalities that they don't want. The only person that's like really level-headed is Lavinia. You think anyway. You think she is. You think that she's the one that's holding on the most. But then you see her doing like all this fucking witchcraft, and she's cutting herself up. You're just like, no, okay, she's definitely twisted in the head as well. She's just on a whole another realm, Like she thinks I'm just going to, like summon Satan, and he's going to come help me, and I'm going to speak to the sky even more. Which I think with her doing that really invoked the whole process of the alien color to kind of go further on with them. Because as you can see, towards the end, or actually this really is like the end of her being like at the well, and you had that shot, and you see the color like going through her, which I think is a beautiful shot. I think it's so scary but beautiful at the exact same time. That's like the I think the highest point of this film. I mean, most people would probably say the morphing of the father, the mother and son would be like the high point. I don't think so. I really think it's like when Lavinia is like, she finally did summon herself to this thing that she was calling upon the whole time, and then it just like goes completely batshit, and then you see the water dude, how he's like now in there and having to like look at this other world, or what their world might be if this kept going on and on. Actually looking into the quote unquote color, and then him surviving at the end. Like that's the highest point of the film. It's beautiful, scary, and you're also just like, what the fuck just happened? Throughout the whole thing.
Oh, it's positively gorgeous, and I definitely agree that that's the highest point of the film. Like everything rises with this massive crescendo in that sequence. But I think I disagree with you that her witchcraft made things worse, or that she was trying to invoke this power. I think that she was trying to protect herself, and because she practices Wicca, this is like the way she is. This is the same as if somebody who was a very devout Catholic like dropped to their knees and just started praying to God and Mary to save me, protect me from these demons, because she's like carving these runes into her skin. And I think it was supposed to be like a protection thing. It's just that this is the only thing she can think to do. But it doesn't matter, because whether you're praying to Jesus or you're doing a Wiccan religion, a ritual, excuse me, a Wiccan ritual, it doesn't matter because that's just your theology. This thing came from outer space. It doesn't care about your theology. It's going to do whatever it does.
Yeah.
And she finally surrenders herself to it, you might say, at the end, and just says, all right, enough. We can't get away. I've been trying to get away and get free this whole time, and nothing has worked. Fuck it. I can't fight anymore. And that's when we have that big whoosh
Yeah.
out of the well. And that's just, I mean, that's just how I read it.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's, I don't know. It's crazy. And like as you were talking about before too, how we both have read the story that it's based off of, and how that the ending of the book is literally the giant purple shit coming out of the well into the sky. And then the book is good, but when you're trying to compare both of them, they kind of go their own separate way until the very end, is how I felt. Because I read the book after I watched the movie because I wanted to see how much Richard really took from the book. Like, there are definitely aspects that he did take and he put into film what was, able to be transitioned over to film. Because once again, for people who don't know, Lovecraft is huge into cosmic horror, and that's like one of the hardest things to put to film, as like everybody really says. So yeah, like reading the whole like ending of this giant purple color just like going into the sky and out of the well was really fun to read and also watch.
Yeah, totally. And I like a lot of the changes that were made for the adaptation because, like you were saying, they're very different. The movie focuses on the family and really digs in to this being a family drama.
Oh yeah.
And how, like, togetherness can be a thing you can draw strength from, or it can be a thing that sucks your life dry. And sometimes that's the scary thing, the notion of being trapped by your family. That's all the focus here with the movie. Whereas with the short story, it's more of a bird's eye view, kind of looking back
Yeah.
on the events as they happened. It's very science fiction magazine.
What would you say
Yeah.
that the color actually is? Like an alien being? Because it's like it doesn't sort of, it takes them over, but doesn't sort of take them over traditionally. It kind of sort of makes them go crazy and sort of plays tricks to confuse them about what time and space is and stuff like that.
Oh, I would definitely agree that I think even in the book that Lovecraft was even describing that the color itself is sort of like an alien entity of itself, especially coming down on a meteorite and everything. So it definitely it had effects on warping everything around it and to kind of transmog it into wherever it was before. I don't know if I'm 100% correct on this. It's been a while since I did read it, but I think that it went to other planets. I don't know if this is something I read in the book or something I read fandom wise, but I think it went to other planets and it was also taking things from other worlds. But that might be something that I read online and not in the book because it's been a while since I read it. So I think it also tried to take things.
And what defeated it? Like it's kind of like it was like War of the Worlds, where at the end it's just like I can't stand to be here anymore. I'm just gonna fucking move on to the next, or maybe some organisms got to it or something. But kind of what defeated it?
That's a hard one to answer.
Is it really defeated?
No.
Because because that was one question I had at the end. Ward is, looking out over the reservoir, smoking a cigarette, and he looks like a vet, man. He's seen some shit.
Yeah.
And is talking about how he's never going to drink the water here. It doesn't matter. Get 50 years. I don't care. I'm not drinking this water because shit's messed up, right? Do you guys think he came out of it clean? Do you think he was lucky enough to get away? Or do you think some of the color got into him and his, like, kind of like the Thing, his body is now sort of corrupted somehow? It's just not enough that it turned him into a big husk.
I honestly think that he came out okay. I think it's just because he didn't drink any water. First of all, he was very, very careful with that. That was the biggest thing that like infected everybody was the water itself. But also he spent barely any time on the land itself. He was only there for a little bit with the officers and a little bit before the everything that happened or it got accelerated. So I think he was able to get out just in time as it was leaving, or quote unquote leaving. I think that he was okay, but he's just very, very scared. And he's just like, I'm gonna drink anything other than water, which you can still survive on. No, but
Says
yeah,
as
that's a good
he
question.
cracks a beer open.
Yeah. What about you?
So yeah,
Dean?
like it's yeah.
It's got quite a high kill count for a movie like this as well. I think it's like 8 or 9. I think I count.
Oh, I didn't even count those.
I think it's
That's
got quite. Yeah, I think he's the only guy that survives. The water guy. Yeah, water dude. Water nerd.
Is it him and the mayor? Him and the scumbag mayor.
Oh yeah.
Water dude and the scumbag mayor, the only ones who make it.
Oh, does the mayor make it right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because she stays far away from all
Yeah.
of this anyhow.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah,
she never
yeah.
gets touched.
Yeah,
She's like the mayor in Jaws, but I
Mhm.
don't know, even less human. At least in Jaws, we had that moment where the mayor's like, dude, I could have killed my own kid. I feel like an asshole now. She never has that moment. She doesn't give a rat's ass.
Oh. Oh my god, I was just reading through some of my notes, and I have a quote here that I loved. When Nick Cage, I think, is talking to Lavinia, and she says something, but he goes, "They? Eh? What the fuck are you talking about?" Like when she's like, "Oh, I'm talking to them," and she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And they just got back from the hospital, and then he finds like the jellyfish in the shower. That was also a really weird thing. It was like, was it a jellyfish? Was it his imagination? Was it just soap? No, that was another thing that was like, ugh, very, very weird.
So this is why it reminded me a lot of Annihilation. Did you guys ever see that flick, the Alex Garland movie?
No,
It reminded me of that, very similar. An alien presence just kind of lands on Earth, and it creates this whole sort of biodome they call the Shimmer, and it reacts with every living thing. And so like that's and it just changes it. It's not necessarily good or bad change. It's just change. And it's mixing things together and creating all these weird, fucked up new versions of life. And so I feel like that's what's happening here. This alien entity has crash landed here, and it's just reacting with everything. Not just, they even say it in the movie, not just matter, but also time.
Yeah.
That's why you lose huge chunks of time. It just all of a sudden it's nighttime. They don't say it out loud, but it also messes with energy. And that's the beauty of it, like cosmic horror. It's so hard to understand and fathom. And that's what these folks are dealing with the whole time. They're trying to figure out the rules. Guess what, bitch? It's from outer space. Maybe there are no rules.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just doing its thing. That's why at the end, it's like it burns up in that huge, climactic finale. But I don't know if it's gone exactly. I'm wondering if it's just kind of settled deep below the soil of that area. And that's why people who live around there never fucking go there. They just stay away.
Yeah. I'm also kind of curious to see, or even like to have this kind of thought of like, was it going into the sky, or was it looking like it's going into the sky? What if it just like went around the Earth and now it's just a hole outside? So now the rays, like the sun, it's shining itself in, but it looks so normal to everybody because it didn't really alter too much of the color. But that's also kind of another crazy thought to be like, what if it just like, just was like the new ozone layer? That would be crazy. That's a crazy thought.
It's them edibles. It's them edibles, man.
Yeah, I know. Dean, you said you had some facts. Did you want to throw some at us?
Yeah, man. I think you'll like this one. You'll appreciate this one, Dustin. Because we actually did this as we watched this on a watch party viewing where I actually fell asleep at the end, but only because I think it's like 3 hours long. But for his role as Nathan Gardner, Richard Stanley actually asked Nicolas Cage to model Gardner on his previous performance as Peter Lowe in Vampire's Kiss. So apparently Vampire's Kiss was
still alive. Yes,
it was Richard Stanley's favorite Nicolas Cage movie.
It's so good, and a lot of people shit on it, but I think it's so good.
So when I was watching it, I was trying to see all the Peter Lowe-isms in there because he's so fucking animated in that movie. And you can see it every now and again. He's still, like in the scene in the car where he's bashing the roof.
You cocksucker! You cocksucker! 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 Yeah, it's so good.
Have you seen that one, Newman? Have you seen Vampire's Kiss?
I've only seen scenes from which is cracked because it's like, here I am, a guy doing a Nicolas Cage show, and there's movies of his that I haven't seen. I also haven't seen Moonstruck with him and Cher.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
haven't
It's
seen
there's
just,
a
that one.
lot of really good Nick Cage.
yeah, man.
Dude, I'd
Yeah.
say get Vampire's Kiss. I hadn't even heard of it before. A friend of mine, Dustin, and another friend of mine, Dan, mentioned it. And being a big Nicolas Cage fan, they were just like, "You have to see this movie." And we watched it as a watch party. And dude, yeah, get on that. It's fucking absolute. That's batshit, but it's great. It's such a great movie. I love
You
it.
mentioned the explosion he has in the car. That's one of my favorite moments of the movie.
Yeah.
So
Nick Cage
funny.
actually had, it's so great, right? He said in an interview that he was kind of channeling and getting some inspiration from Jack Nicholson, who had a very similar blow
Yeah.
up in a 70s movie called Five Easy Pieces.
That's right. Yeah.
And I remember that's another movie where I'm like, fuck, how have I not seen this? So I remember looking up that scene on YouTube, and I was like, oh shit, he really did take a lot of inspiration here, and it's great too, because as soon as he's done having his blow up, he gets out of the car, and we have another whiplash moment where it's like we take in the whole farm for a second, and everything is awash in color and all this weird vegetation that's like, how has it grown so high? It's like some kind of horrific Alice in Wonderland moment.
Yeah, literally.
I love the way the movie jerks you around like that. It does such a good job.
Yeah, I agree.
You got some more facts, man.
A little bit
Dean,
of
shoot
trivia
us.
for you. Let's have a little look. I've got these written down here, so I'm just reading off of this. So this is actually the 5th adaptation of the story. And if you
The
guys know that.
5th? It must
Yeah,
have
kind
been
of
like
like-
some like shorts or something with it, maybe something on a smaller scale.
The first adaptation was Die Monster Die in 1965. Then you had The Curse, a film called The Curse in 1987. Set in the 80s. What else do we have here? Die Farbe, a German adaptation.
Oh, interesting. I'm gonna have to check these out.
Yeah, I've never heard of these.
Which was 2010. And there's one, The Color from the Dark in 2008, which is set in Italy.
Oh wow! So a lot of foreign films got to it before we did, I guess.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna have to check those out just to see where they go with it and how they handled all the cosmic elements, or if they went more with just watching the world around it, kind of mutate like the book does, kind of just like describe everything that's going on, because that's what the book really is. It's more like it describes a tree for like 5 pages, or certain things like this. It's like, and this is how this was happening, and people around it were just acting so and so. It's a good story, but don't go into it thinking it's going to be what you see in the movie, because it's not really that. But it is a very good read, especially if you like H.P. Lovecraft. It's also really not that long of a read. Pretty short.
Yeah, I knocked it out this afternoon before we got going. And yeah, it's interesting because there are some moments in the script, the voiceover at the beginning, the voiceover at the end, as well as some of what Ezra says after he's all hooked into his stereo and he's just like speaking with his skull face, right? Almost all of that comes direct from the book. It's just been kind of chopped and put together in a slightly different way. But it's shit in there. But you don't get the personal family horror that you get in the movie.
Yeah, so don't go into it thinking that it's going to be like exactly like that. It's good. I think everybody needs to get both spectrums of the story. Even go watch those other ones that Dean said, because I'm probably going to end up checking those out. I really, really, really am intrigued to see what they do.
I'm interested, especially about the German one, which is 2010. I like a lot of European horror, man. They do some really good shit. 2010 as well, because there's going to be some pretty decent effects in there. Like I think the first one was like 65 or 67, so it's probably just going to be quite basic. But the 2010 would be interesting to see what they did with that.
Yeah,
and
my ears really perked up when you my ears really perked up when you mentioned there was an Italian one. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. So that was again, Italians makes great movies. I'm just trying to find. Sorry, I'm kind of scrolling through all my notes. Yeah, that was called Color from the Dark, and again that was 2008. So again, that would probably be quite interesting with some decent effects. Color from the Dark, an adaptation of the story set in Italy.
That's
So
really
you might
strange.
get a little Argentoism in there with the colors, with that kind of Technicolor
Yeah,
kind of vibe.
I'm
Yeah,
down for that. Sign
been
me up.
getting more into that Giallo shit over the last year plus,
I
as
love
I've gotten.
Jalo, man. I don't get me started.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of new to me. Like, the last year or so is when I really started getting in. But my wife and I, one of the first like dates we had was to go to a movie theater and see the new Suspiria.
Oh, okay,
Right.
okay.
And that was one of the most I said, ooh, this one's a keeper.
Yeah, I saw the original Suspiria in a theater with a festival called Salem Horror Fest a few years back, and it's in my top 5 right now. I love that film so much. The score is great because Goblin. I mean, you can't go wrong with an actual full progressive rock band from Italy scoring horror movies. You just can't go wrong with that. It's fucking great. Um,
That's hot, man. Yeah,
oh yeah.
you gotta check that one out.
Dean's
Oh
pulling it up.
my goodness.
Yes,
The
yes,
man Dario.
yeah. And his new movie on Black Sunglasses just came out in Italy about a month or two ago that I really really want to see. So hopefully that gets over to the States very very soon. I think it's called Black Sunglasses or just
Yeah, I have to
Sunglasses.
check that out, man. We were talking
Something.
about Dario the other day, weren't we? I actually went to for my 40th birthday. I did a road trip around Italy, northern Italy, and we landed in Rome. And we went to he's a friend of his, Dario Argento, runs a shop out there,
Yeah.
and it's all full of horror memorabilia and all kinds of stuff. Tons of books, tons of costumes, tons of Halloween stuff. And actually, underneath it is like a mini museum.
Oh nice.
um and it's oh man, it's awesome. So there's all props from the movies like demons, um Tenebrae, like just loads of stuff. I've actually got a little video thing of me walking through it, so I'll have to try and dig that out and send it to you. But yeah,
Yes.
if
Yes. I
you're
want to
into
see
that
that.
kind of if you're into that
That's
kind of
cool.
stuff, yeah, and you ever find yourself in that part of the world, man, it's definitely worth. It's just kind of, you're walking down the street and it's just kind of like I think it's called Profondo Rosso, named after one of the movies, I think.
Okay, that makes sense. I think I know what shop you're talking about.
Something like
I think
that.
they
But
talk
yeah,
about it on Joe Bob sometimes. I
yeah,
think so.
it's just it's only a small little shop, but yeah, underneath it's like all like little tunnels underneath, like almost like a scare attraction, like a haunted house. And there's like audio playing, and there's all yeah, it's really cool. Really cool. I know we're going
It's
off
like
track.
a it's
Yeah.
like a whole experience.
Oh yeah, it is, man. It's really very cool.
That sounds tight, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
good.
shit like that. We need a lot more like that near where I live, or just
Really good
anywhere in
on you.
general.
You said you drove over an hour to see Colorado Space in a theater, for real?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's outstanding. Like that, you should be so proud of that, because like I'm spoiled as hell. I live in Chicago and there's a theater here called the Music Box.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where I saw this on the big screen. Suspiria, Lighthouse, fucking, Joe Bob and Darcy came there to do a whole big thing. That's why I was able to just go and get my goddamn Silent Night, Deadly Night signed by
That's
him. It
awesome.
was a bike ride away,
That's
Wow.
awesome.
So
I
like,
unfortunately they did come over near me, but I got to the tickets too late and they sold out in like literally 5 minutes.
Oh, man. I love Joe Bob. I
So,
love Joe Bob, man.
yeah,
oh
it's
shit,
nuts.
can I actually shout out a member of the Mutant Fam?
Yeah, sure. Go
Just
ahead,
since I
man.
brought this up.
Yeah, do it.
Kurt Unit. Yeah, Kurt Unit is the member of the Mutant Fam that got together with me the day of the Joe Bob thing. It was the Christmas show that he did here in Chicago.
Awesome.
And if it wasn't for Kurt Unit, member of the Mutant Fam, I wouldn't have gotten a ticket because I found out about this so late in the game. So since I brought it up, I really wanted to do a shout out.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you to him for doing that. That's absolutely awesome. So, people helping out people. That's what I love, and that's why I love the horror community in general. We're always helping
Oh, yeah.
people out and always connecting
Yeah,
and
same here.
bringing everybody up. So that's
Yeah.
absolutely awesome. But back to Color Out of Space. I wanted to ask: do any of you have a favorite quote from Nick Cage in this film that you would like to say?
I got one.
Oh yeah,
All
what is
right.
it?
Okay, so this is about an hour into the movie, and I think this is when he's finally been given permission to go full Cage. And we know, okay, something's really wrong with Dad when he says, "You're in the video. I've had it up to here with your fucking drummer." So why don't you get the fuck out of my face? No, you know what? I'll save you the trouble. I get the fuck out of yours. Stomps.
Yes, that one's really, really good. Dean, do you have one that you remember?
None that I can recall, man. I think probably the one that Newman's just said. Just
Yeah,
then.
that one's really, really good.
Just the whole spaz out in the car.
Yeah,
you know,
that was gonna be mine too. With it, just yelling out "cocksucker" the whole time. I think it's just so good. It's so minimal, but it's so good. I
He
don't
does say
think.
some.
Go ahead, Dean.
Oh, sorry, dude. Yeah, go for it, man.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say the one that just sprung to mind actually, which I thought was actually quite a sweet quote. It wasn't really a full-on cage rage like explosion, but and I'm not sure if I can get it right, but when he was standing on the veranda again near the beginning, and they're talking about living the dream, and he says something on the lines of, what is it? He says something like, "If you dream on your own, it's just a dream." But if you dream together, you're living the dream, or something like that. He said it's quite a cool little quote, and I was like, oh, that's quite sweet. But I'd still rather see him kick the shit out of the car.
Yeah.
I had that quote written down too, because I think this movie is so much about togetherness and this idea that together
exactly,
everything will be okay. And it's like, well, maybe it won't. Maybe it'll just be together. Those alpacas all got put together. They didn't look happy. Mom and Jack got put together. They didn't look too happy.
And you know what?
So
honestly, fuck the mom. Fuck
damn
mom, dude. If she just let Jack
shots
run,
fired.
Like if she just like grabbed him and went, or just let him run, guess what? They would not have been morphed into a fucking meat pile. They would have been fine, dude.
I love that you. All right. Shots fired. I love that you brought this up because I have that opinion about the older brother Benny. Because they're running away from the pink light and he's there with his little brother. Like, I got a little brother, man. You don't fucking run further and just leave your little bro behind. You pick him up and you run with him in your arms. And Benny got scared. Okay. He wasn't man enough for the moment. And I can get that. But if I'm going to blame anybody, that's who I blame. Fuck that kid.
Okay.
And I'm a stoner. I'm a pothead. I should want to like Benny.
Oh man, but you know what? I really do feel for Jack because I think he gets fucked over the most throughout this whole film. He communicates with the man in the well. He's trying to just live his life. He's trying to be with the dog. He doesn't know what a dog is anymore. Sam's gone. He just wants his love from his mother, but the mother's too far gone. All she wants to do is work and work and work. And then when the family's all together, shit's going south, and then he stops or whatever happens, and then mom goes to try to grab him, and then she just fucking holds him there. Like, fuck you. Like, this kid's just trying to fucking live life, and you get him morphed into you. Like, you're absorbing him, and then, Nathan has to go over there and shoot you both in the head with a shotgun. Like, come on, man. It's so awful.
There's another...
It gets bad and it gets worse.
Yeah.
There's another pretty good quote that actually I wrote down that Nathan says to Lavinia, which made me laugh. We're a family, and if there's one thing families do, is stick together. Now feed your mother.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Now feed your mother.
Yeah, when he like locks her in there, that's awful.
It's fucked up.
Dude, the scene of her like crawling towards Lavinia too is so oh my god. I would
terrifying.
Faint. I'd faint. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Faint and eat me. I'm done. Roasted.
Giving me like, good like J horror video game vibes, Resident Evil, The Evil Within, Silent Hill, that kind of shit. I've seen this movie probably 3-4 times. I always forget that the sheriff just gets grabbed by a tree. It's trees are alive and you're fucked. Sorry. You're standing in the wrong spot there, buddy.
Yeah. Poor water dude is just like, what the hell's going on here, man? Like, I just came here to test the water and all this shit's happening. It's almost like he brought it.
You guys obviously have seen Evil Dead 2 enough times that I can just say, oh, that moment in Evil Dead 2, right? At the end where the door fucking blows off and you see Bruce Campbell's hair turn gray as he just looks horrified, right?
Yeah.
And the plant next to him also dies, right? That's cosmic horror. Anytime
Yeah.
somebody's like, "What's cosmic horror?" You just send them a gif of that moment. You go, "That's cosmic horror."
Yeah, that's a pretty. Oh, this movie is so bad shit. I'm trying to go through my notes to see if there's anything else that we should pick up. But I think we really covered all of the really, really important parts of the film, all the messed up and not so messed up. I don't know. What would you think would be to you? What's the saddest part of this film? Like, if you had to pick one scene, what would you say is the saddest to you? We'll start with you, Newman.
Well, I'll tell you the thing that I think is very, very sad and poignant and beautiful, and we haven't really touched on yet, is the mom character, Teresa, is recovering from a mastectomy. She's recovering from breast cancer, and she does not feel beautiful anymore. She doesn't feel desirable anymore. They have not made love as a married couple since then. And I think that ties in a very real way to the story and those the themes of it, those feelings of I'm transforming in a way that I don't want to transform. I'm getting old and dying. My body is betraying me, and I don't feel sexy anymore. And I never expected to have to deal with this. What do I do with this? It's horrific. And even with all this love and support around her, because I think the love that the Nick Cage character has for her is very real, and that support and that patience is very real. But even with that, you can still not feel ready and then have like self-hatred because of it. And I feel it comes through in the performance so well. And it was something that really spoke to me. It's very sad.
Yeah, I agree on that one. Dean, what about you? Is there a scene that like really sticks out to you that you're like, wow, this is fucked?
To be honest, exactly what Newman's just said. I think that particular scene when they're sitting on the bed and he's trying to make her feel beautiful again. I think that was the only scene that really kind of tugged on the heartstrings a little bit. Other than that, I was just, enjoying all of it. That was the only scene that made me think, oh, bless. But yeah.
Yeah. I agree on that one, but I also think, to me, the one that really hit the most was when he's trying to keep the family all together, and it has the morphed mom and son upstairs. And it's like, well, we're family. We need to stay together. We gotta do this. Like, we're not gonna like put her out. And then he goes and tells the kids to leave. Like he's going to, kill her. Like that's what we're gonna think, but it's also part of him not wanting to do it, and also the color also messing with his mind and having him kind of turn around and leave them in that room. And then later on, when the sheriff and the water dude are there, and he decides to actually put an end to it, just because it's like, what else is he gonna do at this point? I think that's, to me, that's the saddest one, with him realizing that his family is gone now. Like even him, he knows that he's gone. With him sitting there drinking every night, like that's really, really sad. Knowing that you were supposed to be there to hold this family together as as the father, and all these traditions, old traditions of like the father's always there to keep everything together. Me being a father myself, like that really, really hits me really hard, knowing that at some point you can't do anything. You just got to let go. That destroyed me the first time I watched it, and still does when I get to that, but not as hard.
That's why I think this movie works so well, because it takes all the batshit and all the freaky effects and all the cosmic and body horror, and it does all that really well, but it teams it up with all this very real, very relatable family drama.
Yeah.
And I think it knows when to be a little funny, and it knows when to not be. It knows when to build to a moment, and it knows when to just slap you with a little whiplash. It's a really just well-made film for what it's trying to accomplish. I think it's incredibly successful.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
I agree in that.
I think it's a real shame. Just quickly, sorry, Dustin, man. It's a real shame, because I mean, like, that's Richard Stanley's first film in such a long time, and it was so good. It's such a shame kind of what's happened to him, knowing that there probably isn't going to be anyone that's going to back him to make the next one.
No, unless Spectre Vision goes and gets somebody else that wants to do it. Unless Elijah Wood wants to go on and continue doing these things, or whoever it may be. But there's always somebody out there with a vision Like, look at all the indie films that are coming out now. Technically,
Yeah.
Revealer is a cosmic horror film, kind of Lovecraftian in a way. I feel like the team over there could really do it if they wanted to, or
The
really
next one in
anybody.
line, the next one in line, I think, was the Dunwich horror. I think that was going to be the one he was going to make next. So it would have been really interesting to see.
Yeah, I was reading about that, and then it got canned because of everything that was going on. I think the
Yeah.
script was actually written too. I think it was all ready to go into production, and then they had to cut ties. If I remember correctly, I mean, anybody listening, please point me in the right direction if I'm completely wrong on that. But it's been a couple of years since I've read anything on the subject. But yeah, that sucked when I heard that. I was like, really, man? Like
Yeah.
you come back after all of these years and then you just
And make a
fuck your career
masterpiece
up,
like
man.
that. Yeah.
You fuck your career, like come on. Ugh. But I think that's pretty much all that I have to say about this film. You guys have any last thoughts before we go into ratings?
Oh, I
good.
just, you know what, just to not tease it, that thing I had said before about Lavinia. Yeah, you guys mentioned what a neat name that is. So Lavinia was a character in a Shakespeare play called Titus Andronicus. She was the main dude, Titus's daughter, and trigger warning for folks about sexual assault. In the play, she is raped and her hands are cut off and her tongue is cut out so that her rapist cannot be identified. And by the end of the play, Titus finds out who those rapists are. He kills them, cooks them into a pie, and then feeds that pie to their mom.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
Shakespeare went through a phase where he was like, "I'm not fucking around, y'all."
Oh,
Wow.
And so I often wondered if this was a little reference because Lavinia is not a character in the story as it's written. So, changing one of the kids from a son to a daughter was a decision they made, and they chose to name her Lavinia. And so I wondered if that had something to do with it. Lavinia Fisher was also one of the most notorious and earliest serial killers in the US
Oh, wow.
and was put to death by hanging in the 1800s. So I don't know if these have anything to do with it, but it stuck out to me. You can't just make a character named Lavinia and not have me go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some cool
that reminds
facts
me of a
right there,
play I saw
actually.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some awesome
Thank you, brother.
facts.
Like I said, sometimes I do too much homework, but it's part of what I do.
Yeah. I know you wanted to read a little bit of the book too. So if you want to do anything like that, right now is definitely the best time to go and educate some people on the story if you'd
Oh,
like to.
beautiful. Well, real quick for folks, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this because we spoke about that big climactic moment where the light is its strongest and it's all together with the energy and it flies out of the well and it's massive. Well, that was done via text by your boy H.P. Lovecraft, like so. It was a monstrous constellation of unnatural light, like a glutted swarm of corpse-fed fireflies dancing hellish sarabands over an accursed marsh, and its color was that of the same nameless intrusion which Ami had come to recognize and dread. All the while, the shaft of phosphorescence from the well was getting brighter and brighter, bringing to the minds of the huddled men a sense of doom and abnormality which far outraced any image their conscious minds could form. It was no longer shining out, it was pouring out, and as the shapeless stream of unplaceable color left the well, it seemed to flow directly into the sky.
Yep.
Shit like that.
Beautiful stuff.
Shit like that is why you read H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
That's beautiful stuff, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to go back and actually reread that. I have a whole collection of all of his stories on my phone that I'm slowly getting. But there's a lot. So if you do like reading and you haven't read any of H.P. Lovecraft, you are going to be in store for a while. So definitely even put it on audiobooks. I've done it with a few of his stories. If you don't want to sit there and read, audiobooks are a really, really good thing to do. And I think Color Out of Space actually is in an audiobook right now too, so you can always put that on when you're driving. All right. So I think without further ado, we can jump into our ratings. Newman, we'll start with you. What would you rate this out of 10?
I give it 9 tainted glasses of bourbon
That's a good one. That's a good
out of
one.
10.
What about you, Dean?
Yeah, it's hard to fault this movie. Like it it's just got so many different levels. It builds at a decent pace. None of it's kind of wasted material that should have been it's just a great movie from beginning to end. It's probably not everyone's cup of tea because it does go a bit crazy. It's definitely my cup of tea. I love that kind of stuff. I think anything less than an 8, is sacrilege. I think it's not peaking at 10 for me. I think between 8 and 9, I've got to give this movie, I'd say as well. Yeah, definitely 8.5.
8.5. Okay. Okay.
I can't think why it lacks that 1.5 to notch it up to full marks. I don't know. I'm going to go with 8.5.
Okay. There's been definitely some movies on here that I have given a 10 out of 10. And I love this movie. I really, really do. I love everything about it. I love the not really knowing what's going on, but you know what's going on at the same time, if you know what I mean. I love all the bat shittery that's going on in this, and the effects are so good. The acting from everybody, from Jack to anybody else, is really, really good. Even like all the animal acting that's in this, even though it's not much, but what there is really, really good. I'm not gonna give it a 10. I feel like with every movie there can always be something added. But this one, I feel like there is something that could be added. What could be added, I'm not 100% sure. But I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 9.5. I would love to give it a 10. I really, 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 really would. But I'm gonna give it a 9.5 just because I think that it could have went a little bit crazier. That's probably what it is. I think it could have went an extra level of crazy. How they would do that, I'm not 100% sure. But 9.5 out of 10.
I think the only reason I didn't give it anything higher than the 8.5 is just because there's some places where it didn't hold my attention, because I was just getting a little bit lost, and I was just getting a little bit, I have to rewind and kind of really figure out what's going on and understand the characters more and more, a bit better. But I think it's like really, really good music. For example, some good music, you listen to it for the first time and you don't quite understand it. So you're not quite into it, but the more you listen to it, as soon as the penny drops, you're like, fuck me, this is the best band I've ever heard. These guys are amazing. It's like Radiohead, it takes ages to get into them. Once you're there, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a similar kind of thing, another 10 watches and I might be coming back to you guys and going, dude, 10.5, 11.
This movie goes to 11.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What's funny? I could never put my finger on it until this most recent rewatch. The one thing for this movie that stops it from being a 10, and you're going to ding me for being so specific, but at the end, during the big climax, when Ward gets into the house and he sees Nicolas Cage is sitting there, and that makes no sense because bro just got his shit shot out on the porch, and he starts talking to him and his brain's all whacked out. And then they start having a fist fight. And he's trying to get to the basement so he can be away from the sonic boom or whatever, and Cage is trying to stop him. I get that that's exciting and climactic and whatnot, but it makes no fucking sense at all. And I get that a lot of this movie doesn't make sense, but it feels like it was shoved in like as a studio note or as a production thing, and that's the only moment of the movie where I'm taken out going, I don't care for that choice. And so that's what for me takes it from a 10 to a 9. And I know it's crazy, but that's so specific. But on this rewatch, it stuck out to me.
Yeah, I think if I had to kind of, I don't know, make sense of that, the only thing I could say is maybe that the color brought him back so that the color could take him, could take the water dude with him and use it. That's the only thing I can think of, is that maybe in some sort of weird way, since it plays with time, that maybe it rewound just enough of him to get enough life back. I know what I'm saying sounds fucking weird as shit, but I'm trying to make some sort of sense of it with it.
It makes sense in like the way it could.
Yeah.
Like what doesn't make sense to me is why it would, because we
Yeah.
haven't seen it have malicious intent. It just kind of is, and it spreads. But this is the one time where it feels like it's a mustache twirling villain for a second. Like, oh no, you don't.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna get inside you too. Ha ha.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that doesn't wash for me.
Okay. Okay. Oh man, this movie. What else could we say? There's barely
This movie,
anything.
right?
You just need to watch it. That's what it boils down to. Is that you need to watch it and
With
then
an
watch it
open mind.
again, watch it again,
Mm.
and then just at that point just put it on repeat. Don't even worry. Just let it keep looping. Because there will be things that you will pick up on every time you watch it. There'll be something else that you're like, oh, I didn't see that before. That's weird. And that's a really, really good thing. That means that the movie was made well and makes you want to go and rewatch it again to pick up on these things and kind of, shrug your head a little bit and like, wait, what did I just watch? Like as Dean was saying, you needed to rewind to make sense what was going on. I feel like that is a really good way of knowing that you made something well, is for the viewer to kind of question themselves if they were seeing what you saw was right. But that's just my opinion, and that's why I really like this movie, because I mean I do the same thing when I watch it. If there's something I couldn't like catch up on, I'll rewind it and be like, what the fuck, and you'd be like, oh wow, that was fucked up.
It's like a book as well, isn't it? If you're reading through a book and you have to keep going back, you're like, I didn't quite take all that in. I have to go back, like reading some Burroughs or something, man. You have to keep skipping back and going back a few pages and read that again just so it really sinks in.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing. But I do find with this movie though, when I go back and watch it again, I just want to skip to the good shit. I want to get to the bit where the meteor lands and start from there.
You don't like all the slow parts, yeah. I
I
understand.
know it's not the way to do it, but yeah.
Yeah, you want to get to all the meat. I understand that. But Newman, it was awesome having you on, and it was a pleasure talking to you, and getting to know you a little bit outside of listening to the show and having you on here, and talking about this batshit movie. You definitely picked one to come on to talk about. Definitely.
Oh yeah, no. When I saw that in the list, I jumped on it because I'm a big fan of this one. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It was a real pleasure. Trying to reach out more to the podcast community,
Yep.
and just
Yep.
strengthen those ties.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing a lot too. Is trying to get as many other podcasters that I've either listened to or I'm trying to get to know onto the show to get everybody a little bit more of an extra leg outside of what they're doing on their platforms. It's always good to kind of spread the love and get everybody getting new audience and growing. That's what this is all about. For anybody who's trying to tell you that they don't want other people on their show because they, I don't know, think that they're above you or whatever, is bullshit. I think we all need to be here together and thrive with one another and really, show that everybody has their own voice. And that's why I love doing it, because we all have our own opinion.
Hell yeah, man. I'll raise one to that. And that's something I've always loved about horror. It's funny. I've never started a horror sub-series because I just want to do so many horror movies on my normal show anyway. But horror as a genre, it has so many subgenres. It's got so many different kinds of fans. And I feel like it's in this fandom where you find the most acceptance, the most support, and the most just unabashed love. I don't have to agree with you about this movie, and I don't have to understand your love of this movie. I just have to acknowledge your love of this movie.
Exactly.
And you'll do the same for me and my fucked up movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just beautiful. It's been huge for me in the last few years as I've gotten more involved with the community. And yeah, man. So this has been a goddamn delight.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure. And Dean, I always thank you for always being that one that really pushed the show, I think, to what it is now. Because I for those of you who don't know, I say it a lot, is Dean was our very first guest on the show. He lives over in the UK, and I live over in the US, so he's across the pond, and we met personally a couple months back. He was over here near me in Salem, Massachusetts, and I took him around. And
great trip, man.
Man,
great trip.
It was great, and Dean just really sparked my love of horror even more, because we are so alike, and for being so far apart.
I've lost sound.
I lost sound as well.
Oh, I lost sound there. I lost you. You were saying something nice there, man. It was the color. The color shut the sound down.
You know what it was? It was those damn gremlins. You know, they got into our shit in WW2, and now they're screwing up your
Oh,
podcast.
they've been fucking with my laptop all night, man. We did an interview with some guys before this.
How about now? You guys hear me now?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, I had to unplug and plug back in. Oh my fucking god. Dude.
Oh, you were saying something really nice then as well.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
No, it sounded good.
No, I was just saying that I owe a lot. I owe a lot to you, Dean, for really sparking my love for horror and really making this podcast what it is today, and for you to step on after my other co-host, who is now pursuing his own passions of cooking and whatnot. Aaron is no longer part of the show, but I mean, he'll be here on episodes that he chooses, but he's just stepping away right now, and now Dean's here to add an extra voice to everything. So it's awesome to have you aboard, man.
I love being here, man, and I'm really glad that you asked me to come on and be a part of it as well, because it's like going to class. It's not going. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. Going to class. It's like basically it's giving me, like, I love horror, and sometimes my schedule's so nuts. I do have the time, but sometimes it's like trying to take yourself out of that schedule and go, right, sit down, watch a movie, deep dive into it, chat about it, and really sort of keep, this is making me do that. This is helping me like focus on the thing that I love the most, and just trying to stick to that, because I was trying to run my own podcast. I think I released 3 episodes in a year.
Yes, I was
like, Dustin's doing it right, man. Like, his content is just growing and growing and growing and growing. And when he said there's an opportunity to come and keep Aaron's seat warm for a while, I was just like, I'd love to take it, because this is good. I'm getting to meet friends across the pond. Yourself, Newman. Now I've got to meet you. It's been great, man. And just get chatting about all these films, and then it's educational for me, because I'm hearing you guys talk and taking in what you're saying, and it's just great, man. I love it. And it's just this whole wealth of knowledge coming from you guys, and also deep diving into these films, getting a better understanding of these movies. It's really reigniting. Well, not reigniting, because I've always had that passion for this, but just boosting
it's upping the ante, essentially.
Yes, I'd say that. Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, I love doing this, man, and this is just the beginning.
For sure, man. And Newman, I mean, anytime you want to be on, man, like, I always open this up for any guests. I've got to say this to our guests earlier, but if you ever want to come on and talk about any other movie, like, I still have a lot of open spots this year for any movies. I can resend you the list if you want, or whatever it may be.
Please do that. This was such a delight, and just at the risk of being the too nice, nerdy kid at the birthday party, it's like, yeah, let's do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And I'd love to have y'all on my show anytime. I always just ask the guest to pick a movie and just something they want to talk about. It can be literally anything. One of my favorite episodes I remember doing was The House That Jack Built. I'm a big Lars von Trier fan.
Okay, that's a good one.
That Dylan film, I haven't seen that yet, man. I've got a copy of it here on Blu-ray. I haven't seen it.
Oh. It's great. It's a nut puncher. It's great.
Yeah, I need to watch it. I've heard a lot about it, man. I need to see this. I've got it here. It's been sitting out in the film rooms back there. There's tons in there, man. In the pink room.
I know that's right, man. I always like to joke. I fucked up when I was born working class. Shit, man. There's all these movies I gotta watch, but I gotta go to work.
Yeah.
Oh man,
work just sucks, dude.
Work sucks.
We were talking about this earlier on as well, because I was saying to Dustin, like, oh man, I could do with an extra half an hour just to kind of get some more notes down. And I'm thinking, do you know what, because I spend all that huge portion of time in the day grinding at work, and I don't hate it, because it pays the bills and it's a job, and I'm thankful I've got a job. But I'd rather be doing this shit. I'd rather be sitting in there watching movies. And
we'll get there. We will all reach there eventually, including yourself, Newman. We will all get there where we can just sit home, naked as fuck, watching movies.
Love it. Because why be naked unless you're going to be naked as fuck? That's the only way to do it. But yeah, no, send me that list. I'd love to come back, and I'd love to work out a date in the future if y'all are available. Have you on Movies for Days.
Oh yeah, shoot me a message, man. DMs are always open. But yeah, this was a pleasure, and thank you for being here. And once again, Dean, thank you for coming on and being the new co-host and whatnot. This was absolutely awesome.
Of course.
All right, so this was the Barrens Hideout podcast with our new co-host Dean and our special guest Newman from Movies for Days. Please go check him out, and we will talk to all y'all later. Thank you so much.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.